No Secrets. Written by Hobby. Read by Arashi. It shouldn't have been possible. Climbing Hubert's high walls and getting past them is a feat only one person has managed so far. Of course it is Lady Edelgard who did, and the one who he's pledged his life to. The one who doesn't even look at obstacles. The one who conquers. The one who destroys everything standing in her way. It's always been that way. For 5, there's always been one person he truly cared for. Everyone else in his life had either been a pawn or an enemy, all but replaceable, unimportant in the bigger picture. And yet, at the age of 26, Hubert questions if that's still true. He knows that it's what has been taught to him since he was born, to dedicate all he has to the next emperor, as Vestras are traditionally supposed to. It was drilled into him, and had he not liked Edelgard so much right upon their first meeting, he may have had the guts to question his duty. He may have led a different life altogether, like his liege had suggested at some point. He's glad his life turned out the way it has, though, and he would not change it for the world, because his family is dissolved now. His father is dead. Hubert gets to learn how to be a little more human. He slowly, carefully, crafts tentative friendships within the palace. He's fond of Fleisch, teaching her this and that about lance combat in rare moments of free time. He talks confidence into Bernie when they fuss about their newest book on plants only found in Brigid. He writes letters to Petra at least once every 2 weeks and attends as many of Dorothea's operas as he can. At the same time, he finds a new interest in Linhart's research and advocates for Caspar to become the next Minister of Military Affairs already. Personally, though, Hubert has become closest to Ferdinand out of all the former Black Eagles. Ferdinand, who has been laying in their newly purchased double bed since sunset, throwing him a gaze once in a while. It makes Hubert smile as he downs the rest of his coffee. It's clear as day that his presence is desired in bed, but his partner will have to wait a bit more. These documents don't dissolve into thin air after all. Maybe he'll leave some for the morning, though. The less important ones, at least. He, too, can't deny that he'd rather go to bed and whisper to Ferdinand while cuddling close. How soft he's become. How blunt his edge has gotten. Documents about educational affairs can wait. Another bunch, regarding the renovation of a fortress wall. More important, but not urgently enough that it can't wait for a few hours. A folded letter regarding a request for a meeting with the Almiran Council by yours truly, Claude von Regan. That one seems of utmost importance, so Hubert trains his weary eyes on the barely legible text on it. Thankfully, it's not the longest letter Hubert's ever read, barely 6 lines or so. They are full of some context that's not visible to an untrained reader, though, a code or some kind of writing between the lines, a challenge to Hubert. He lifts his coffee cup. It is empty. Hubert, come on, Ferdinand whines, shifting underneath the blanket. One of their hands slithers out from their nest, reaching towards Hubert. He snorts and smiles. Well, Almira is a few hours behind them in terms of time zones, so whatever. Hubert gives in, no longer scolded by the voice in his head that used to tell him that he comes last. Always. First, Edelgard. Second, the Empire. Third, no, that was no longer true. There's no longer a list, even if Edelgard would still come first. Ferdinand would too. They share place number 1 in his heart now. Hubert gets up from his chair, body stiff from the long working hours he assigned himself. He changes into nightgowns and washes his face before accepting Ferdinand's eager invitation to their shared bed. The pillow, fluffed up and soft, the blanket covering him in Ferdinand's warm embrace. If heaven didn't exist, he imagines, it would feel a bit like this. Ferdinand's right hand runs through his hair. The left holds him tight. Their lips kiss his entire face tiredly, sloppily. He loves it. Love you. Ferdinand slurs, sleepy grin on their face. Hubert could lose himself in this bliss. His head still buzzes, though. Events of the day still play in his mind. People he met in today's meeting, documents he signed, edited, or outright ripped to pieces. An idle conversation about Edelgard's hair growing pretty long in the morning. A report from one of his spies about the Agarthians. An application by someone interested in joining his spy network. His brain is fried. I had someone apply to me as a spy, Hubert mutters, burying his head in the crook of Ferdinand's neck. We're also closer to finding the main hideout of those who slither. Edelgard wants a haircut soon. Someone actually requested for the nobility system to go back the way it was. Can you believe that? Each day, he started to report his day to Ferdinand once they settled in bed. Each time he does, Hubert feels a bit lighter. It's like Edelgard said one time, reaching out a hand is not the worst decision to make. There's only so much you can shoulder by yourself. Sharing, letting yourself be helped. It may have sounded so ridiculous to Hubert in the past, but he's come to reconsider in the last few months. Ferdinand is the one he wants to spend life with after all. If he can't trust him, how is a serious relationship going to work out? They tell him everything in great detail. In turn, he started to rely on them as well, a bit in his own, less outspoken way. Ferdinand's right joins its left on his back, and Hubert is pulled closer. They yawn into his hair. "Let me help you, okay? Tomorrow." They mumble and pull the covers up to cover his shoulders. He drapes an arm over them as he always does. It's silly, but it makes him feel like this way Ferdinand will be safe, even if he drifts off for a little while. "Promise," he replies gently, and closes his eyes. He listens to his partner's deep breathing for a while. There's still so many things he hasn't been able to tell Ferdinand. One thing in particular comes to mind, an important matter that will have to be discussed at some point. It's a scary thought, but maybe tomorrow, over morning coffee. If anything, Hubert has faith that Ferdinand will take it well. It would not make a difference if they knew. Indeed, there's no need to worry. Tomorrow, he'll come clean and reveal the potentially most dangerous secret to his beloved. And so he sleeps, mind clear of doubt.